forever here. Figured I'd do a video. I just love the diversity of the energy that I'm experiencing. I feel like I'm kind of degrading a little bit, and it's the involution and evolution of life. Sometimes you evolve in life, and then you evolve back to a harmonious state. And it's, what makes a Melchizedek, what's a Melchizedek consciousness is someone that can move through all 144 overtonal experiences and dimensions of the human experience and be unscathed. So it's about being in these realms and experiencing these things and still holding your center. And these lessons go deeper, and this lesson about alcohol has gone even deeper today, and I feel like I'm even more in control, because I do feel like I give a certain respect to beer, and the ancestral history of it, and even the health of it, because beer does have enzymes in it. But it's so important to realize, I only had 2 beers when I was in Flagstaff, and I don't want this part of my life. I don't really like how the alcohol has made me feel. It's made me feel like lower vibe, like it's like toxified my energy, and like it's made me sick, just from these 2 beers. Like I just feel like I'm out of health in this good energy that I was in, and I feel like I kind of have a little pressure in my head. And I went to the smoke shop and I got some CBD weed, and I rolled a spliff with a little bit of tobacco, because I do feel like there's a part of myself that still wants to experience this, but then it strengthens it more. It's like, I don't really want this. And I developed the strength and the boundaries of it. I think that's the important thing that I'm learning about alcohol, is there's boundaries. 2 beers, not every day. And I felt like I had kind of rigid boundaries, where I had to make rigid ones before, where it was like, okay, no beer at all. Beer's poisonous. And now I feel pretty confident at actually creating those boundaries and keeping them, but at the same time, here's where the boundaries change. If my dad comes and visits, my dad wants to go to the brewery, I'd love to be able to be in control and go to the brewery with my dad and have a beer with him, and not lose my center, and be unscathed in that experience. And it seems like every time, I drank a week or so, about 2 weeks ago I drank, and I was just like, I don't want anything. Alcohol sucks. It's not that great, and the way that it's made me feel is it didn't really give me the euphoria that it once gave me, and that's a very good sign that I've progressed spiritually, emotionally. I've matured, and my neurology's changed, my wiring's changed. I've uprooted and cleared out the basement of these things I was given to as a child. I learned at a young age how to have fun was to drink, and that's a very limiting way to live. It's a very unhealthy way to live, and when you use the substance, you don't get enjoyment out of other things, because it changes the chemistry of your brain. So if you drink on a regular basis, it's like you drink to have fun, because nothing else is really going to give you that pleasure, because of how alcohol changes your brain. And it's not a permanent change, it's like you go through withdrawal, and your chemistry of your brain changes and gives you certain symptoms, and you know, that's something I learned 4 years ago when I stopped all of these things, is I learned how to have fun again. I learned how to have fun like when I was a kid. Like, I played paintball, I, you know, skateboarded, I went adventures in the woods and built log cabins in the woods and things like that. I remember I'd go through like the sewers and stuff, like all these things that I would do to have fun. But when it came to high school and I started smoking pot and then drinking, it was like those things were not fun anymore because I changed my brain and I learned how to have fun through drinking. Through my brother, through my father, through my friends. And yeah, you know, I just went to the the spring up there by the creek, and I rolled a spliff with I bought some, and I did a video earlier, I don't know which one of these I'm going to post in order, but I got, I'm driving, I got to be careful. I got some of this CBD hemp, and I rolled a spliff with a little bit of tobacco, and I do not encourage anyone to smoke tobacco. And that deepened another lesson, like, tobacco is not that great. It's terrible for your lungs, you know. But the way that I did it, I chose to kind of create a ceremony. And I don't think anyone should smoke tobacco outside of ceremony. You know, it was the Native Americans that used tobacco first, and they used it in ceremony. It was a very sacred thing to them. And you know, I got some of this native tobacco at one of the stores here, and it doesn't have I don't know, I think they use ammonia, and it makes the way that the nicotine comes into your body a lot faster, so it's a lot more addictive and a lot more potent. But this native tobacco, it's a little different, and there's other alkaloids in the plant. It's a little different than regular tobacco, and it was more spiritual, more natural.
Hi, this is Eric.
It had a different flavor too. Man, and I'm just worried. I just want to run away from this shadow. I don't want this to ever be a part of my life, but I think life is asking me to say, like, you know, no, it's okay to partake in these things, and life is teaching you how to create boundaries with these beautiful gifts from the divine, you know? Like, I feel like cannabis is a beautiful gift from the divine, and I'm so thankful to be able to legally purchase it and legally use it. And it's very healing, this type of cannabis, and it's definitely great for the ascension symptoms and the anxiety that comes along with spiritual awakening and an ego death, and it can increase those things. That's kind of what it did to me last night, because it rapidly, like, anchored me into my body and surfaced things and healed me, and it's like, whoa, now I'm really feeling this stuff because the CBD's like causing me to come into my body and feel. And yeah, but Cal Forever here, thanks for listening. You know, create boundaries, and this is what I'm saying to myself right now. Like, I don't have any foresight of ever drinking again from this moment. I don't want to, and I think that's the way to be. And I think it's an important boundary. Like, you know, I can't drink tomorrow because I drank today. I can't drink more than 2 days, more than a day in a row. You know, and like, what's a healthy boundary? Once a week, once a month, once a year, never. You know, it always changes. And, you know, I think I'm really finding that balance, and that's something I kind of always wanted to do, was to be in control of alcohol and to enjoy it as a libation, as a beverage. And I don't really want to get into craft brewing again, but that was one reason why I kind of started drinking again last year, is the craft brewing Like, I felt incomplete with that. And maybe that's something for me in the future. Maybe not. I really want my future to be a part of yoga and healing and being sober and adventure and, you know, health. And alcohol is not for life. It really is not. Maybe for some people, and there's always a balance where it can kind of fit in. And there's some other things about beer, how it's kind of medicinal in a way because it has enzymes in it and good bacteria if it's brewed right. And you can always make different elixirs that are fermented, and I think that's really beautiful. And so there is a level of life to it, but for the most part, alcohol is a taker of life. It really is, and that's how my experience. And tobacco seems to be that same way too. It seems to be a taker of life. And but however, CBD cannabis, CBD hemp, weed, or whatever, seems to be a giver of life. But at the same time, it also, on one level, is a taker of some things in life. Where, like, I smoked some this morning and I felt like lazy, like I didn't want to do anything, which it changed the energy, which is sometimes a really good thing because then it caused me to relax and to meditate and to not be in monkey mind. And it was a really useful tool for that. So it's like when to use these things and when not to use these things. It's like creating boundaries between other people. You know, it's not just about being rigid and always saying no. It's like learning when to say no, when to say yes, and feeling the energy out. What is the energy telling me right now, you know? I don't really got anything going for me today. It's Saturday. I think today is an okay day to say yes to these things that I've said yes to, and then it further deepened in the lesson that, you know, for the most part, I really just want to say no to these things. And I think this is a really wise thing to, like, realize, and I hope this is a beautiful lesson in teaching for your own life. Cal Forever here. Thanks for listening. Look at, I don't know if you can see, it's just so beautiful driving in this canyon. I've came up here like the past 3 or 4 days in a row. And yeah, peace.